God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
Welcome to the 30th episode of Your Journey Is Not Over. My name is Tanya Pearson Randolph. This is my own personal journey, and the expressions and opinions are of my own. I own all the rights to my personal journey and to Your Journey Is Not Over. Neither are to be used, copied, or edited in any way without my consent. When I left off last time, I had just gotten home after a total of 21 hours of traveling and with no food. And when I got home, I found out my great aunt had passed away and was already taken to Tennessee and buried while I was gone. Again, I didn't even get to say goodbye to her. That was horrible for me to come home to. It was a nightmare of a trip that I should have never been made to take. There again, everyone around me was all about, it was Hawaii. It was paradise. They envied that I got to go, never once thinking that it was traumatic for me. In fact, it was the scariest trip that I've ever taken. Believe it or not, I did keep in touch with the real dad person throughout the years. And again, as a grown woman, I am ashamed of how I acted at 13 years old. And I did apologize to him many, many times. He would come in town throughout the years, and I would always meet him, along with my first husband, my now ex-husband, and our kids. And we would meet at our local Pizza King, and we would visit and catch up. It was a friendship, so to speak. We actually got there, with some work and compromising on both sides. Let me say this, me as a teenager and me as a grown woman, as a wife and a mother, we're two totally different people. Again, it's called growth, maturity. I definitely had a different perspective of things. This real dad apologized to me many times for not being there. And you want to know what my response was every single time? I told him every time, as a grown woman, that I would not want anything changed. Because if anything at all was changed, I would not have been with my grandparents in Kentucky. Again, I wouldn't change that for anything in the world. Those first years in Kentucky with my grandparents, are actually what made me who I am. I'm a very humble, kind person. I'm down to earth. I can relate to the mayor the same as I can relate to a homeless person. Growing up in a primitive upbringing did teach me to be happy and blessed with what I have and to work for what I want. I uplift people. I'm happy, genuinely happy for people, no matter what the circumstances. Some people grow up like I had to, and they can come out of it one of two ways. They can be grateful for all that they have and work to get what they want and be happy for others to achieve. Or they can be greedy, very competitive, and nothing is ever enough, and always striving to outdo somebody, for popularity, for status, for notoriety. Still to this day, I have no shame in my game. I'm definitely not competitive. I want everyone to live their best life. I want everyone to be able to travel and make their dreams come true. God made this world for all of us to enjoy, not just a few. I have a saying I go by. I'm not out to impress the village. I want to impress God. Money and material things can't buy you a ticket into the gates of heaven. I'm going to tell you this, then I will get back to my journey. Being made to buy my school clothes starting at a very early age, my brother did help me, by the way. But I always got hand-me-downs from older cousins, and I went to rummage sales, and I bought clothes secondhand. And I can never forget Kmart, and that was only because they had a layaway. So I got really good at putting clothes together and accessorizing to where they look like they came from the mall. Like everybody else's clothes. Truly looking back, I don't think anyone knew that 99% of my clothes were secondhand. So let's fast forward to now. And by the way, this is going to shock people that know me. Again, perceptions. I'm all about breaking perceptions. So in August, I was in Bahamas and I was cleaned up. I call it fancied up for dinner. And a lady that I now call my sister and that I FaceTime with daily. But we had just met there. She complimented me and what I was wearing. Without hesitation, I told her, "Thank you. It's my $5 outfit." She was like, "What?" I told her, "Yes, girl. I got this outfit and my shoes at the Goodwill. I am a bargain shopper. I save my money. Again, no shame in my game." This is what I told her, and this is what I tell everyone. It doesn't matter where you bought it. It doesn't matter what it cost. What matters is how you wear it. I just choose to save my money and be thrifty. I work too hard for it to spend it so freely. Again, that's something I had to learn early. My late husband used to joke with me all the time, and he told me many times that he had never seen someone that could make a dollar stretch so far. Again, skills I learned early. So, with that being said, I would not change anything about those years in Kentucky. One thing my grandma always told me, and she told me this over and over again: you never forget who you are, and you never forget where you come from. That I never will. Also, she had another saying that I go by a lot: what goes up must come down. It's called gravity. It's her Southern way of saying never think you are better than someone else, because God will humble you real quick. If you've tuned in with me enough, you already know I do get sidetracked, but I do eventually get back on track. Again, my pen just flows. So I met up with this real dad several times throughout the years, and with age came questions and my intuition. So there was a time I seen this real dad. Again, he was in town for a visit with his other family members, and we got together at the local Pizza King. And I started asking questions about when he and my mom had met and when were they together. Mind you, I had a horrible relationship that was off and on with my mom, so I never felt like I could ask her any questions. So this was my chance, so to speak. Again, by this time, I had seen so many shows about kids meeting their real dad. And what always stuck out to me is that they always looked alike. Somehow, the eyes, a smile, something. I didn't look like or act like, or there was no comparisons between he and I. So yes, I had questions. When were they together in 1970? He immediately knew the answer to that because he was on a leave from the Army for the Indianapolis 500 race. That is a race that is considered a big deal in my state, the state of Indiana. And it's always at the end of May, every single year. So according to that and doing the math, I should have been born the end of February, right? I was born January 1st. So, okay. He said, "You were born early," is what your mom told me. What? No, I was not born early at all. I was 10 pounds, 10 ounces. I definitely was a full term baby. At that moment in time, he and I realized we were both lied to and misled. He wasn't my real dad. So essentially, because of this lie, he lost his wife and kids. Literally, this lie destroyed his whole life. That is guilt that I carried with me all of these years. Again, my mom had no conscience, so I carried that on me. Literally until April 16th, 2024, the day I released and I surrendered everything to God, that was one of the things I had to let go of. It wasn't my guilt to carry. It wasn't my lie. And even now, what was the purpose? What could my mom have been thinking? How do you play puppet master with people's lives and you manipulate and destroy and traumatize people and feel absolutely no guilt, no remorse at all? My theory is There are some people that are born without a heart, a soul, and a conscience. And they are just so miserable within themselves that they have to try and make other people miserable. It's their drive. It's what people like that feed off of. And yes, sadly, my mom was one of those people. All of this whole Twilight Zone trip to Hawaii and all of the trauma and fear that I went through was all based on a lie. I wouldn't find out until I was 36 years old that my mom knew the entire time that this man in Hawaii definitely was not my real dad. Not to get too far ahead in my journey, but yes, I would have to go through what some people only have to do once in a lifetime. I was going to have to do it twice. But the second time around, at 36 years old, I would finally get to meet my actual real dad. This concludes my podcast for today. Please join me Thursday. And always remember, your journey is not over. God bless.
God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been